Hey everybody out there, it is your favorite Purple Heart veteran, David Kendrick Jr., owner of Lion Speaking Agency here, coming at you with a small talk related to my best performing blog post on my website, www.dkendrickjr.com. And the blog post is titled, I Quit My Job to Save My Mental Health. As a speaker, I would say 90% of my material comes from my lived experience. So I want to take you guys back to maybe 2018. And I was working for a major Fortune 500 company. We have a lot of them down here in Atlanta, but this one happened to be in Kennesaw. And I was going through a lot with this organization. I was about, I don't know, maybe 27, 28 years old back then, making some really good money for the organization. But I wouldn't say that the people in the organization were toxic. It was the organization itself that was toxic. So the issues that I was having, and this is going to tie in a little bit into Disability Employment Awareness Month because I have a disability as well. There was an issue that I was having here, and along with multiple other people at the job, and it wasn't getting handled the way that it should have been handled. And I was just going through a lot with management every single day. It was like, you do management does this, I do this, they do this, I do this, and I was doing everything that I could to try to stay in this job. But if you read my blog post, this was a post where you would come into work and people would be crying in the parking lot before they went into the building. Okay, at their desk, pouring gin in their coffee to start their shift. And what I will always, always, always say, never stay in any relationship where you aren't happy, whether it's a professional one or a personal one. Do not stay where you are not happy. And over the months, my mental health, man, it just went down. It started going deeper and deeper and deeper into this dark hole, to the point where, they say don't bring work home with you. You can't help but bring it home with you, because as soon as you get off work, you go, man, I need a drink. It was a hard day. Not to mention dealing with our customers that we had to deal with in this role at this position. And we were all feeling it at this job. And it seemed like nobody was doing anything about it. Management really didn't care. Every time we had a gripe or a concern or a complaint that seemed to be valid and brought it up in a team meeting, nobody cared. And it was, hey, we're going to document that, and then we're not going to do anything at all. Anything at all. And at lunch, we would all get together outside of work and talk about, man, how bad the job is, and just what will we try to do to make things a little bit better. Because what I hate about employers is the pay may be good and they feel like they have you trapped there with a benefits package or with the amount of money they pay you per hour or your salary. But I'm a veteran. I get a check anyway. So I'm like, look, you're not going to keep me here based upon your benefits of this organization. Even though it may not be the best, I got health care. I have TRICARE, and I get a check every single month. And I have worked fast food restaurants just, so I wouldn't have to deal with all of the crap at these major Fortune 500 companies that you walk into. You're dressed to impress. They tell you to dress to impress. Build your LinkedIn page. Do all of these things. Join all of these different organizations that we have within the organization, just for the promotion to go to somebody who's friends with the boss or who's friends with HR. And there's a lot of us who do what you can every single day. You do the best that you can at this organization. And some lines of business and some jobs, everything that you do is metric based. So you can come in looking like $1 million. You can come in, you can have the best attitude. You can come in and you can be the highest performing employee at the job. But if your numbers aren't what the company wants it to be, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This was me coming into corporate America with a degree. I used my GI Bill to get my bachelor's degree from DeVry. I was young. I was enthusiastic about the workplace. I was in the Army as a cavalry scout. So I said, finally, I got the skills that are needed in the civilian world. Not to say that the skills I learned as a cavalry scout in the Army didn't translate, but those skills as a Cav Scout wouldn't have aligned with what I was doing in corporate America. And I kept telling other people, hey, there's other options out there for you. We don't need to stay here. You don't need to be unhappy. Because once I saw that there were people at their desk pouring gin in their coffee, I said, this isn't normal. And that's not normal for any work environment. So what I was trying to do, and what a couple of us did do, if you have a gripe with your employer, make it known, but in a respectful way. You can write an email, say, hey, I've noticed some complaints. I would do it because I'm good at talking. I would gather everyone else's complaints and write them up in an email and send them off to my manager, send them off to HR. Because the thing about this environment that I was in is everybody had complaints, but nobody wanted to say anything in public. Nobody. So it made it seem like nobody had an issue, even those same people who were drinking gin at their desk, miserable, crying in between customer interactions, didn't want to say anything. So I'm like, look, this ain't right. I'm a veteran. I'm a Purple Heart veteran. I went above and beyond to serve the country and fight for people back here in the States when I was in Iraq, and I continue to do that same thing, and I still do that now on stage. That's why my business is called Lion Speaking Agency. The lion, it came from having the heart of a lion to get on stage and tell my mental health story, but also as an advocate for those people who don't know or who are fearful to advocate for themselves. And that's what I was doing in this one position for this Fortune 500 organization, and it all fell on deaf ears. It all fell on deaf ears, and there is strength in numbers. Lion Speaking Agency, hey, having the heart of a lion, but also, you never really see a lion hunt alone. You're always in a pride, always in a pack, because there are power in numbers. And I was trying to tell everybody, hey, if we all get together, sign a letter, I'll draft it up, I'll write it for us, and bring it to HR. Maybe we can get some of these things that we have issues with this organization. Maybe we can change the culture just a little bit so the job can be more enjoyable. Because it's a fine line that you have to walk when you're like, damn, this job has great health care, great benefits, a great vacation package, but I'm miserable every single day. And how many of y'all out there feel like that and want to quit, but don't know where you would go, don't know what your options are? You get on Indeed and you're like, oh, I don't want to go through this job search process again. So you sit there and suffer, and you suffer in silence. And that's just not the way to live life. So what I did, I wrote my letters and everything like that. I sent them up, and I got their response, thank you for letting us know of these things. We'll keep these in mind. We'll keep this stuff in mind moving forward. And what this continued to do, because nothing really changed. It was just thank you for nothing. And if you're a fan of The Office, it's like when Dwight had the complaint filed against Jim, and he took it to Toby, and Toby had the special file in New York. Well, yeah, this organization had a special file in New York, which was just the shredder pile. So they took our complaints, shredded them, get back to work. Because in this line of work, just like in a lot of jobs, you're easily replaceable. And their attitude was, this is the way it's always been. It's not going to change. If you don't like it, leave. And that's what I ended up doing. And so I talked to people who still work there after a year and said, nothing's changed. Things have gotten worse. They were still miserable. And who wants to go into work anxious? If you have weekends off and you're so anxious to get off, it's Friday, it's 4:00. You get off at 5, you get to enjoy your weekend. But around Sunday at 6:00, you're thinking, damn, I got to go back in that office. I got to see Stacy. That's just a made up name, not somebody who I really worked with. But protect yourself. Protect your mental health. And the reason that I wanted to make this into a video is because I quit my job to save my mental health is my number one blog post on my website, www.dkendrickjr.com. It's the number one blog post. It has the most views, but it has no comments. No comments. Instead, I'll get personal messages of people asking me, well, what did you do to quit? How did you quit? How did you get over it? What did you do to find your next position? And so once again, that's the Lion and Lion Speaking Agency, man, getting up on stage or advocating for people who don't know how to or just are afraid to advocate for themselves. But never, ever, ever stay in a position where you aren't happy. Never stay in a relationship where you aren't happy. And if you need somebody to tell you it's time to leave that professional relationship and go find better, you're hearing it now. All right, David. My name is David Kendrick, and if you are looking for a professional speaker to tell this story on stage or talk to your organization about overcoming adversity or whatever, visit me at www.dkendrickjr.com and let's talk. Let me roar on your stage.